Okay, hello to anyone doing this recording. I hope that you enjoy. Please make sure not to do anything that causes actual pain, and feel free to modify as much as you need to. Take a break if anything doesn't feel good. I'm going to offer modifications, but feel free to make up your own modification or just skip anything that doesn't feel right. If you want to use the playlist, go ahead and pull it up on your playlist listening device. I'm going to pull it up on mine, so I have to just move my camera for a moment, but then I'll put it back. So once you have your playlist ready, we are going to go ahead and hit play on 3, 2, 1, play. I hope you like the playlist. I made it just for this class. And then go ahead and lie down on your back. And take a moment just to let everything go. Oops, oh no, it's fine. Lie down on your back, maybe closing your eyes for a moment, letting everything go. Take a deep inhale in through your nose. And a long, slow exhale out through your nose. And then go ahead and hug your knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice squeeze, maybe rocking from side to side. And then come back to center, still holding on in front of your shins or behind your thighs. Let your head gently rock from side to side, stretching out your neck, going back and forth a couple times. And then once you're even on both sides, come back to center. We're going to make our way up to our hands and knees. So you can either rock upwards on your spine or come over to your side. And then go ahead and set yourself up in tabletop, wrists right under shoulders, knees right under hips. And we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow, inhaling to come forward, arching the spine, and exhaling as you round your spine. Taking a couple rounds at your own pace, stretching out your spine. I should have probably started with a more relaxing song. Really just hit the ground running. And then the next time that you finish rounding your spine, then we'll meet back in neutral. Then walk each of your hands forward, one handprint, tuck your toes under, lifting your hips for downward dog. And maybe you pedal out your feet in this downward dog, stretching out your calves. Try to press into all 10 fingers. And then come back to stillness in downward dog, lifting your sitting bones up high toward the ceiling. And then get ready. We're going to pull forward into our high plank, wrists right underneath your shoulders. You can either keep your knees lifted or bring them down to the mat. We'll be here for about 30 seconds. Try to really keep your leg muscles activated if your knees are up, making a long line from your head out towards your heels, pressing into all 10 fingers. You can always bring your knees down for a few moments and then lift them back up. Wherever you are, don't let your hips sink down and also don't let them come up toward the ceiling, trying to make that long line. Nice. And then we're going to get ready for ins and outs. So bend your knees, bringing your hips back behind you, then come forward into your plank, going back and forth like that. Try to use control, not using momentum. So when you come forward, don't let your shoulders come forward of your wrists. You can inhale to come back, exhale to come forward. Taking a few rounds like that. Almost there. And then we're going to meet back in plank. Remember, you can always bring your knees down at any time, or if your wrists are really yelling at you, maybe come off your wrists a little bit, bringing your hips back. And then when you're ready, we're going to get ready for heel taps. So pike your hips, reaching for opposite ankles. So your left hand comes to your right leg. Come back to plank, right hand comes to your left leg, back to plank. See if you can keep your hips from rocking from side to side, so trying to keep them in one long line. And you can inhale as you come back, exhaling as you come forward. Nice job. Starting to really warm things up. And then the next time you finish your second side, we'll meet back in plank, taking a couple more breaths in plank. Nice job. And then when you're ready, we'll get ready for our lizard lunges. So step your right foot outside your right hand, do a couple pulses, and then you can stretch your right arm up toward the ceiling, opening the chest. And then step back to plank, bringing your left foot outside your left hand, double pulse, twist and open, taking a few more rounds of that, stretching out the hips. I always feel like this feels like a break compared to the stuff that we were just doing. Not that it's easy. Nice. And then the next time that you finish your second side, which is probably your left side, then we will all meet back in one more plank. And then we're going to set up for a push-up. I like to bring my hands out forward a little more and a little wider for my push-up. You can also always do your push-up on your knees. And then you're going to walk your hands back towards your feet, stretch all the way up toward the ceiling, and then walk your hands back out. We're going to do that 5 times. So you do your push-up, walk your hands back towards your feet, stretch all the way up, and come back down. Bringing your knees down if you need to. Stretching all the way up. I think that was 3. You might be at a different pace. Trying to do a slow, controlled push-up. Almost there. Last push-up. Walk on back one more time. Stretch all the way up. And we are done with the warm-up, which I sometimes feel is the hardest part of this class, so good job. We are gonna get ready for our first set of squats. So if you wanna use weights or soup cans, you can grab your weights or your soup cans, they are optional. Our first set is gonna be a sumo squat. So we're gonna have our feet out pretty wide, wider than hip distance apart, toes pointing forward. Your hands are gonna be at the center of your chest, and you're gonna take a pretty deep squat, trying to aim to have your thighs parallel to the ground. So simply up and down. And then our second set is gonna be a squat kick. So we're gonna have our feet about hip distance apart, come down to a squat, kick and punch the opposite arm, and then come down and then kick the opposite foot and punch the opposite arm. Try to keep your spine as straight as possible, so not like hunching forward. So those are our 2 sets, sumo squats and then squat kicks. We're gonna do 30-second sets, 10-second break in between, 3 sets. So set on up in your sumo squat and go. So hands are at the center of your chest, feet are pretty wide, trying to come down towards parallel with the floor. And then when you come up, try to really brace your abs. Nice. Bringing your weight into your heels. Can inhale as you come down, exhale as you come up. And if it's too much on the knees to try to have your thighs parallel with the floor, you can always come down lower and change, shake it out. If you've never done this class, change means take a break, maybe shake out the legs. And then we're gonna set up for our squat kicks and go. So come down, kick and punch with the opposite arm, squat down, kick and punch opposite side. Trying to do this with control, not momentum, and trying to keep your spine as long as you can. Imagining someone's pulling a string from the crown of your head up toward the ceiling. Nice. And as always, you can exhale when you come up. And change, shake it out. 1 set down, 2 sets to go. Setting up for our sumo squats. And go. So bringing your weight into your heels, sitting way back, kind of like you're sitting in an invisible chair or using an invisible Turkish toilet, sorry. Exhaling to come up. If you're following along with the playlist, I only recently started watching Girls and recently saw the episode where Marnie and Change, Shake It Out, sings this song in a very like acoustic way. That's what I always think of now when I hear this song. and go. Time for squat kicks, kicking and punching, coming back down. Maybe imagining you're kicking or punching something that you're angry at or something you want to get rid of. Exhaling to come up. Nice. Almost there. And change. 2 sets down, 1 set to go. Set your feet up in that wide stance for your sumo squat and go. Bending deeply, exhaling to come up. Nice. Almost done with sumo squats. And change. Shake it out. 1 last set of squat kicks coming up. And go. Squat and kick. Trying to keep your spine long. Standing up tall. Using control to come down. Nice. Almost there. And change. Can put your weights off to the side for now. Maybe grab a sip of water. And, oops, I was forgot to turn off the timers. We are gonna get ready for our first round of cardio. If you can, in your space, face sideways. We're gonna be moving to the sides so you can stand in the middle of your space. Arms are gonna start up in a Y shape, and then we're gonna take a lunge to the side and tap the floor, and then come back to center, then take a lunge to the other side and tap the floor. So trying to really keep the arms moving, it's gonna bring the heart rate up. So that's our first set. Second set is gonna be mountain climbers with a few different options. So mountain climbers, you can start from your high plank and then either bring your knees straight towards each elbow, or you can also cross them, so bringing them towards the opposite elbow. Either one is fine, it's just a matter of preference. If your wrists are feeling really tired, you can do this from a forearm plank. You just won't have quite as much room to move your knees, but it's still doable. Try not to like hunch your spine if you're doing the forearm one. So those are our 2 sets, side lunges and then mountain climbers. We're gonna do 20 seconds each, 10-second break in between, 4 sets. So set on up in the middle of your space and go. So lunging to the side, tapping your hand down. This one might not feel like that much at first, but it's definitely gonna bring the heart rate up. And as always, trying to move with control, not flailing. Nice. And change. Gonna come on down for our mountain climbers. So decide if you wanna do hands on the floor or forearms on the floor. Come into your plank and go. So maybe you're bringing your elbows towards each knee. Maybe you're crossing your knees across your body. You can do these as fast or as slow as you want. Some people really like to sprint them. Some people like to do them a little slower. Either way, try to press into all 10 fingers, activating your core, and change. Come on up. Coming back to our side lunges. You can try to lunge the opposite way first this time, if you remember. Bringing your hands up and go. Remembering to breathe. Generally, we kind of try to exhale when we're like coming up or sort of activating the abs. This one's a little less clear. Can inhale and exhale in whatever pattern you'd like. And change. Nice job. Come back on down for mountain climbers. Set on up. Maybe you want to do a different kind from last time and go. Bringing your knees in towards your chest. Still trying to press into all 10 fingers. And remembering to breathe. If you haven't seen the music video for this song, you should watch it. And change. Come on up. In case you're not listening, or if your timing is off, it's sorry, can't do two things at once and go. What's it called? Danger High Voltage, there we go, by Electric Six. Nice. I see arms moving. That must mean heart rates are going. And change. Maybe shake it out. Getting ready for our third set of mountain climbers. Maybe you want to try on your forearms if your wrists are getting tired, and go. Bringing your knees in towards your chest, trying to keep a long spine. Remembering to breathe. Keeping the crown of your head reaching forward, back of your neck long, and change. Come on up. Last round of side lunges. Maybe going to the opposite side if you can remember what you did last time, and go. I guess it would make sense to exhale as you come up for this one too. But don't worry about it if it feels too complicated to try to breathe in a particular pattern. More important to breathe. And change. Last set of mountain climbers. Maybe you want to go faster than before. If you can't or don't want to, that is fine. And go. Last set. Still pressing into all 10 fingers, keeping your spine long, keeping the back of your neck long. Almost there. Last set of mountain climbers you have to do all day. And change. Let that go. Grab a sip of water if you need to. I know I'm going to. And then whenever you're ready, we will move on to our next set of lower body. Got a couple different options. You can start with your right foot in front and cross your left foot behind. So your feet are, I don't know, sort of hip distance apart, but crossed over. And then we're gonna do a lunge. And when you come to the top, you're gonna squeeze your thighs together. So you're bending both knees to come down, squeezing the thighs together to come up. So our first set is full range of motion. And then our second set, we're gonna pulse. If this doesn't feel good to have your knees kind of twisty like that, you can also do feet parallel and just do a regular lunge. And then the same thing, you would do a pulse for the second set. Optional weights if you want to amplify. So you'll bring your hands up as you bend down and then bring them down to shoulder height when you come up. And then when we do our pulse, then your hands will just stay up towards the ceiling. So if you want to grab your weights, you can. We are going to do 30 seconds each, 10-second break in between, 2 on the right and then 2 on the left to really burn out those muscles. So start with your right foot in front. I'm not mirroring you because I'll get too confused. And begin. So we're bringing our arms up when we bend down. Arms come back down when you come up. Trying to squeeze the thighs together when you come up. Exhaling as you come up. And again, maybe if this isn't good on your knees, you're keeping your feet parallel, doing more of a regular squat. Your weight's in the ball of your back foot and kind of your whole front foot. Nice. And change, shake it out. Gonna get ready to pulse on that same side. And set on up and pulse. So you're coming down and then taking small movements. You can keep your arms stretched up toward the ceiling, or if that's too much at any point, you can bring them down to your shoulders. Try to keep your spine long and still thinking of squeezing the thighs together. Nice. I've got the sweat dripping down. Whew. Almost, and change. Shake it out. Gonna get ready for our second side. Remember, you can also do parallel feet. Bring your left foot in front if you're doing the crossed one, and go. Exhaling to come up. Squeezing your thighs together when you come up. Nice. Again, trying to keep your weight in the whole of your front foot and the ball of your back foot. Almost there. And change. Shake it out. Whew. If you're going to do the crossed one, bring your left foot in front one more time and pulse. So staying bent down, having that small movement, arms stretching up toward the ceiling, or maybe they're staying down. You can always bring them at the hips as well. Remembering to breathe. Almost there. I keep being about to say, and change, and change. There it goes. Go put your weights off to the side. Grab some water if you need to. And we're on the second page of notes. That's exciting. Okay, next set of cardio. We have 2 different sets. First one, we're going to start with our feet in first position, like a ballerina. The low impact version is to have your arms out, and then we're going to plie and then come up to the balls of your feet. If you want to add a jump, you can add a jump when you come up, just trying to land mindfully. So that's our first set. Second set, we're going to bring our arms up and then bring hands to feet or hands to legs, whichever reaches, but don't let your spine round forward. So it's okay if your legs are super bent. The goal is more just to get the arms swinging, legs moving, trying to keep a long spine. We're going to do 4 sets of those, 20 seconds each, 10-second break in between. Set up in your first position, channeling your inner ballerina, and go. So plieing, coming up to the balls of your feet. Or if you want to jump, you can jump. Maybe you try a few jumps here or there, or maybe you mostly just do coming up onto the balls of your feet. Nice, looking very graceful. Imagine that string pulling the crown of your head, and change, shake it out. Gonna get ready for hands to feet. Thinking of keeping that long spine, and go. So right hand to left foot or shin or calf or whatever. Trying harder to keep your spine long than straightening your leg. Swinging your arms. And remembering to breathe. Nice. Maybe you add some style with your shoulders and change. Shake it out. 1 set down, 3 sets to go. Feel like I'm not gonna be able to sleep till like 1 a.m. tonight. And go. Coming up into your releve. Maybe trying a jump or 2 if you want. No pressure at all. That's one thing I sometimes push myself too hard on, I think, when I take HIIT class, because it's kind of fun to jump. And change. Shake it out. Getting ready for hands to feet or hands to legs. And go. Trying to keep your spine nice and long. I'm trying to really move with purpose, so not just kind of flailing your arms with momentum, but almost as if you're kind of pressing water away with your hands. Nice. And change. We are halfway through, right? Yes. I think we have 2 more of each to go. Come on into your first position and go. Channeling your inner sugar plum fairy or whatever. Standing up tall. It's also good for the balance. Nice, shake it out. Whew. Getting ready for hands to feet or hands to legs. And go. Nice. One weird thing about this class is that you all are muted, and I feel like I should just like talk to keep you entertained or to fill the awkward whatever and change. But you can't say anything back, so I'm like, what should I say? I don't know. Set on up for your last round of these things. And go if you haven't already gone, sorry. Nice. In the future, I might try to do themed playlists. My HIIT teacher sometimes does that, like 80s and change, women's empowerment. I guess I missed the Halloween boat. I guess I could do Halloween for the beginning of November. And last round of hands to feet. This is just a mix of random things. Try not to let your spine round. Let your last set be just as good as your first. Still moving your arms deliberately, activating your arm muscles and change. We are done with that one. Shake it out. Grab some water if you need to. We are going to be coming down onto our backs for glute bridges. All right, just going to change my computer angle. You can go ahead and come down onto your mat. We have a few different sets for glute bridges. You can watch first. Our first set is going to be feet hip distance apart. And we're just going to do full range of motion. So lifting your hips up and down, up and down. Second set, hips will stay lifted and we're going to pulse, trying to have that pulse come from the activation of the glutes. Next set, we're going to lift our right leg up toward the ceiling and then lift our hips up and down, up and down. And then next set, we're going to pulse. And then last set, left leg will come up toward the ceiling, full range of motion, and then keep the hips lifted and pulse. So we have 6 different sets. We are not timing these ones because we don't take a break in between, but I will time them in my head. So go ahead and set on up, feet hip distance apart, and begin. So lifting your hips up and down, full range of motion. This isn't quite a yoga bridge, so you're not trying to like majorly back bend, pressing your hips way up there, kind of thinking more of making a long kind of plane from your knees to your shoulders, pressing into your feet, feeling the activation of the glutes. And then keep your hips lifted and pulse, trying to have the pulse come from the activation of the glutes if you can. It's kind of a subtle thing, but see if you can sort of notice that feeling. Starting to burn out the glutes a little bit. And if at any point this starts to feel like too much on the low back, you can always come down, maybe take a break for a couple moments, or see if you can just do it from a lower place. You don't have to send your hips up quite as high. And then go ahead and lower your hips back down to the mat. Stretch your right leg up toward the ceiling. It doesn't have to be all the way straight, but kind of trying to have an active leg. And then lift your hips all the way up and down, up and down, trying to keep your hips even with each other if you can. It's going to be hard. Starting to feel a lot more of the burn in the left side. Trying to sort of step up on the ceiling with the sole of your right foot. And then keep your hips up and pulse. Trying to keep your hips as level as you can. If you need to come down for a second, go for it. Then come on back up. Almost there. And then you can lower your hips back down, bring your right foot down, and then stretch your left leg up toward the ceiling. We're going to do the left side. So lifting your hips up and down, up and down, full range of motion. Maybe you notice if one side feels harder than the other. Sometimes we're uneven in our hip strength. Nice job. And then keep your hips up and pulse. Doing your best to keep your hips as level as you can, even though it's hard. Almost there. And then you can lower your hips back down, bring your left foot down, And then you can either windshield wiper your knees from side to side, or maybe hug your knees in for your chest for a moment. Rock from side to side. And then what are we doing next? We are going to stand back up, do a round of upper body. Go ahead and grab your weights or your soup cans, or your invisible weights or soup cans. We're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart. Our first set, we're going to bring our arms up to a Y shape and then bring our elbows in towards our sides, kind of trying to squeeze the shoulder blades. And then our second set, we are going to bring our arms up to shoulder height and lower. Shoulder height and lower. We are just going to do one set of each, 30 seconds each. So go ahead, set up with your feet hip distance apart and begin. So bringing your elbows in towards your sides, coming back up to that Y shape, really trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together. And remembering to breathe. Nice. Imagine you're kind of reaching up towards opposite corners of the room. Gotta have super strong arms. And change, let that go. Take a moment. Okay, this song's the best. And go. Arms are coming up to shoulder height or lower. In case you're not listening to the playlist, it's Lizzo. I really can't multitask. I can't think of the names of songs while I'm thinking about this. The popular new one. It's really unbelievable how my brain doesn't work while I'm doing this. It's because the chorus hasn't started. Okay, and change. You can put your weights out to the side. Once the chorus comes, I'll remember what it's called. Okay, we're gonna come down onto our bellies. Oops, forgot to turn off the timer. Okay, we're gonna get ready for our first set of prone. So you can come down onto your belly. Oh, it's about damn time. That's what it's called. You can stretch your arms out in front of you, forehead comes down. Our first set is gonna be right arm, left leg, full range of motion. And our second set is gonna be left arm, right leg. Try to let your head just be an extension of your spine, keeping the back of your neck long, not cranking the neck or cranking the head forward. We're gonna do 30 seconds each, just one set of each. And begin. So right arm, left leg, stretching out long, lifting up off the floor. Try to think of length more than height, as if someone's pulling your fingers and your toes in opposite directions, letting your head come along for the ride. Strengthening the back muscles. And remembering to breathe. And change, let your forehead come down. If you'd like, you can shake out your hips a little. Gonna get ready for the second side. Left arm, right leg, and go. Lifting up and down, full range of motion. Stretching out long from your fingers to your toes. Can kind of press into your opposite hand a little bit. Almost there. And change, let your forehead come down. Maybe shake your hips a little. And then we are gonna get ready for forearm planks. You can come up to your hands and knees. I'll show you a couple different options for forearm plank. So you can have, obviously your forearms are down for your plank. You can have your knees lifted, or if that's gonna be too much, you could also bring your knees down. We're gonna do 30 seconds of a static forearm plank. And then for our second set, we're gonna do hamstring curls. So bending your knee, trying to kind of curl your hamstring in, keeping your hips level. So go ahead and set yourself up. Feel free to come down to your knees briefly if you need to. You can come back up. Just gonna look at my watch. I'm gonna try to really do 30 seconds and begin. So you're pressing into your forearms, spreading all 10 fingers, trying to make one long line with the body, so not letting your hips pike up. not letting them sink down. Maybe your knees are down. If they are, try to be mindful of still keeping your abs nice and active, stretching out long through the crown of your head. Almost there. Remembering to breathe. Nice job. And go ahead and curl your hamstrings in, trying to keep your hips as level as you can. Moving with control, bending each knee in. If this is too much, you can also come down to your knees, holding your static forearm plank for the last 10 seconds. Almost there. Last few rounds. And change. You can lower your knees down, lower your hips, stack your palms, put your forehead in your palms for a second, maybe shake out your hips. Nice job. That's a hard one. They're all hard ones. And then we're going to do our second set of prone. This time we're going to do first set arms only, and then second set legs only. For the arms only, if this feels like too much of a load on your low back, you can do cactus arms. That's going to be less of a load. We're going to do full range of motion. One set of each, set on up, and begin. So first set, you're pressing your feet down, lifting up just your arms, upper ribs, and head follow. Maybe you're doing cactus arms, feeling that activation of the back muscles, stretching the crown of your head forward. Nice. Getting such strong low back muscles. And change, take 10 seconds to rest. For the legs only set, you can have your hands under your forehead if you'd like. You can have them stretched out in front of you. And begin. So we're lifting our legs up and down, full range of motion, trying to keep your legs straight. You can point your toes, thinking of stretching your toes back behind you. Almost there. And change. Shake it out if you'd like. We are all done with prone. We are going to come on up through our hands and knees in order to sit down on our mats, getting ready for our first set of abs. We are almost done. You're doing great. We have 2 sets of abs. Our first one, we're going to have our feet up in tabletop, and then keeping this exact shape with your legs, you're going to tap each toe down to the floor. So you're not bending your knee, you're just hinging from the hip, keeping your leg in that same shape. So that's our first set. Second set is going to be crunches, but aiming to bring your elbow towards your knee. Of course, it's not going to get there, but that's the direction that it's going. So trying to really twist as you crunch up, have your fingertips just kind of at the side of your head and your elbows wide, not like curling inwards, but keeping the shoulder blades kind of spreading apart. We are going to do 30 seconds each, 10-second break in between, 3 sets of those. Actually, let's just do 2 sets because we're running out of time. I want to make sure to do everything. 2 sets of those. Set on up in your tabletop, knees above your hips, and go. So tapping down with your right toe and then your left toe, trying to keep that exact same angle in your knee, just hinging from the hips. You can kind of press your hands down into the mat or even hold on to your mat if you need to. Really feeling the activation in the abs. Nice. Try to also keep your thighs so that they're, and change. Keep your thighs so they're perpendicular to the floor so they're not coming close in towards your chest, but staying right there. Set on up for your crunch twist and go. So bringing elbow to opposite knee, coming back down, elbow to opposite knee, trying to keep your elbows out wide and letting this movement really come from the abs. So not curling your neck in or crunching your neck in, but keeping your neck long. Feeling that twist in the torso. You can exhale as you come up. Nice. and change, come back down. Getting ready for our last round of toe taps. You can bring your hands down to the floor or hold onto your mat and go. Tapping down each toe, trying to keep your thighs perpendicular. You can even bring your hands up against your thighs to sort of make sure they're staying perpendicular. It's a little easier when you let them come in towards your chest. Trying to keep that exact angle in the knee, tapping each toe down. Almost there. And change. You can bring your feet back down. Getting ready for our last round of twisting crunches. Bring your fingertips to your head, elbows out wide, and go. Twisting upwards, aiming to bring your elbow towards your knee. Feeling that activation in the abs. We are almost done. We just have a little bit of side plank, maybe another set of abs if we have time, and then stretching. Almost there. And change. Can let that go. And then we are going to come on up and set up for side plank. We have a few different options. Either way, I like to fold my mat since I'm on a hard floor. Maybe you don't need to if you're on a carpet, but your elbow is going to come down onto your mat with your forearm out in front of you, pressing into your hand. You can line your legs up with the back edge of your mat. So one option is going to be to bring your top foot down, and then you're going to lift your hips up toward the ceiling. Another option is to bring your bottom knee down, and then your top foot comes out in front, and you stretch your hips up toward the ceiling. You can also stagger your feet, one in front of the other, and then lift both hips up, or you can also stack your feet and then lift both hips up, so you can kind of assess which one feels best to you. Set on up with your elbow. We are going to do one regular side plank, and then the second set, we're going to bicycle our top leg. I often like to come down on the bottom knee for those kind of variations. So set yourself up in whatever version you're going to come into, and go. Lift your hips up toward the ceiling, trying to make a long line with the whole body. Feeling the activation of the bottom side abs, not letting your hips sink down, but still pressing them up. If this is too much on the top shoulder, you can bring your fingertips to your shoulder, remembering to breathe. Nice. And then we're going to get ready to bicycle. So if you want to bring your bottom knee down, you can. Set yourself back up, lifting your hips, and then go ahead and bicycle that top leg, trying to keep your hips coming up just as high as they were. Nice. Yeah, you can bring your hand to your hip. Almost there. I didn't tell you which direction to bicycle, so just notice if you're bicycling forwards or backwards. You can do the same on the other side. And then you can let that go, let your hips come down. Okay, we're gonna do one very quick ab exercise and then do our other side plank. So you can come back onto your back really quick. We're gonna do regular bicycles. So regular bicycles are bringing elbow to knee, stretching the opposite leg out long, and then the other side. Set yourself on up. And if you haven't begun already, go ahead and begin. Bringing elbow to knee, stretching out long. Feeling the activation of the abs, feeling the obliques. You don't have to straighten your leg all the way if that's too much on your hips or your knees. Even if you're keeping your knees bent, this is still a great ab exercise. Almost there. Remembering to breathe. And change. Let that go. You can let your head come down. Taking a moment. And then we're going to come on up and do our opposite side plank. So if you need to roll up your mat, you can roll it up. This is our last thing before stretching. Almost there. Set yourself up. And when you're ready, go ahead and lift your hips up toward the ceiling. Keeping your hips coming up, not letting them sink down, pressing into your whole forearm if you can, not just your elbow. Trying to press your hand down. I find that hard though. Remembering to breathe. Nice. And then in a moment, we're gonna set up for our bicycles. So go ahead and bring your bottom leg down if you need to, lifting your hips back up. Try to remember what direction you were bicycling the first time and begin. Trying to still keep your hips lifting up just as much as before. Nice. Almost there. Keep your hips lifted. Keep your neck long. And you can let that go, bringing your hips down. And then go ahead and come down onto your back, hugging your knees in towards your chest, either holding in front of your shins or behind your thighs. Thinking about all the hard work you just did, maybe rocking from side to side, maybe making some circles, massaging your low back on the floor. And then go ahead and hug your right knee in towards your chest, stretch your left leg out long on the floor. You can let your knee come a little bit out to the side, kind of towards your armpit, hugging it in, getting that hip release. And then go ahead and stretch your right leg up toward the ceiling. You can either hold behind your thigh or your calf, stretching out your hamstring. You can flex and point your foot. Maybe circle your ankle a couple times in each direction. And then bring your right leg into your right hand, letting it come out to the side any amount, stretching out the inner seam of the leg. You guys did awesome. And then slowly bring your leg back across your body, then letting it come across to the left. You can bring your leg into your left hand, stretching out that outer seam of the right leg, that IT band. And then let your leg come back up to center, and we'll do our other side. So bring your left knee in towards your chest, stretching your right leg out long, not wrong. Bring your left knee a little bit towards your armpit, releasing that hip. And then stretch your left leg up toward the ceiling, stretching out your hamstring. Again, maybe circling your ankle. I timed this playlist thinking we would be at a more relaxing song by now, but once again, here we are with MIA shooting her guns. That's okay. Just let it make you feel badass. And then bring your left leg into your left hand, bringing your left leg out to the side, any amount, stretching out the inner seam of the leg. And then as you're ready, slowly let your left leg come back across your body, bringing your leg into your right hand, stretching out the outer seam of the left leg. And then as you're ready, you can let that go, bending your left knee, bringing both knees into your chest one more time, giving yourself one more nice big squeeze. And then we're gonna make our way up to sit. So you can either rock upwards on your spine or come over to the side. You can go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together, sitting up tall on your sitting bones. And then lengthen your spine, hinging forward from your hips, pressing the soles of your feet together. Maybe your elbows gently press into your legs, opening up the hips. Noticing what happens when you press the soles of your feet together. then when you're ready, extend the crown of your head forward, hinging back upwards. You can come into a cross-legged seat for a moment. Go ahead and stretch your right arm across your body. Oh, my timers are in the way. Stretching out the shoulder and the arm. And then you can let that go. Bring your right elbow up toward the ceiling, stretching your tricep, trying to keep your spine long. Maybe letting your rib cage lift up off your pelvis. And then you can let that go. I'll do our other side. Feel free to do a bunch more stretching after this if you need to. And then you can let that go. Bring your left elbow up toward the ceiling again, keeping your spine long, stretching your tricep. And then you can let that go. Bring your arms down by your sides. Then go ahead and stretch your arms up toward the ceiling, giving yourself a big high five. Congrats on all the hard work you just did. I'm going to stop the recording and unmute you all.